It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Oh, Biojilu in the building.
Yo.
Businesswoman. Entrepreneur. For excellence. Hey, yeah, you're doing everything.
I have to.
Now, Pepe, you never sell.
I'm hustling.
Now, only Pepe, you never sell.
Honestly, if you go make
How are you doing, PC?
I'm doing amazing.
Good to have you.
So I was coaching a few ladies a few days back. And they went through so much. Some of them lost their businesses during this end. And they were like, life has been so this year. In fact, this year has been so terrible, you know. And I was trying to, you have to keep moving on. Things happen. And one just looked at me and said, nothing bad has ever happened to you. I said, Auntie, 2019 was my own year. In 2019, my roof was blown out. I said it on the show when the rain fell. I know how much I spent to get that roof repaired. 2019, I had a major accident. Till today, I still have phobia anytime I pass that road. Very close to the office here. My car was, damaged up to half of it. It was horrible. That same 2019, I lost my phone in traffic. It was stolen with all my work and all of that. I was just like, but we didn't feel
Even
this
family was ill.
I said, we didn't feel this when it happened. I said, because we have learned the act of, putting that smile for every other person. Does not mean we don't hurt. And she was like, wow. I said, so we all have our challenges. It's time to sit up tight.
So we're all going through one thing or the other. Trust me. Mariamo, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I have good news only. It's birthday greetings. I have 3 people. So first of all is Hajia Sururat Abdul Majid. She's a viewer and a fan, and she also sends her greetings with what had happened to us, and she says she thanks God for God's protection for her, for us, and today is her birthday. We're wishing you long life, good health, and prosperity. Then my friend today, her name is Rashidat Etudaye. She's just an amazing friend, sister, and today is your birthday. I wish you all the blessings for yourself and all your loved ones. She's my fashion plug. She's my everything. Go to. So happy birthday, darling. One more person, Kasaina Unkom, was your birthday yesterday. We went to secondary school together. We were friends. When we first met in JS1, we created a group, the 4 of us. We called ourselves MEC. Miriam, Elizabeth, Cordelia, and Kasaina. And so it was her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I wish you all the best.
Nice. But you guys keep in touch, right?
Yes, we have the secondary school group. But Kasaina and I, and a few of my friends, even though we haven't spoken in years, you just know that when you pick up the phone and talk, it's like you just stop the conversation just the day before, It just
like
flows.
That. Cool. Nice. Well,
by the way.
Thank you. Thanks to Waike. Waike gave me her frames. I mean, thank you so much. She's just amazing.
I love these glasses.
Yeah, my husband felt it makes me look a bit older.
No, I love them.
Thanks to Waike. So I'm going to just manage them today. We'll take them to get them properly fixed. Let's go on a break. There's so much to talk about today. It's Wednesday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Lagos ends pension for ex-governors and deputies. Export waiver for Dangote Bua sparks controversy. SEC to delist 157 firms from capital market. IG reps seek more cash for police in budget. And ASU directs members to boycott UI convocation as Unilag VC Professor Ogundipe likely to be reinstated today. Okay, which state are we taking to?
Lagos State.
Let's start with the Lagos State, yes.
So the governor of Lagos State yesterday has said that he was going to send an executive order to repeal the pensions laws, which is pensions that are being given to former governors and their deputies. And I wanted to quickly mention one of the things that they are meant to receive. They are entitled to a house in Lagos and Abuja, 6 brand new cars every 3 years, medical allowances and treatment in hospital of choice in any part of the world, and other allowances. And this is said, this will because right now we are trying as much as possible to manage the funds that we have. So this will help us also into selfless service. So when you're coming into power, you know that you are there to serve and not just because of the benefits you're going to have. I am happy. I say congratulations to Lagosians. And I hope that this does not turn around to bite him at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's clear. According to what the governor said, Lagos State can't afford it anymore. Well, I mean, they're trying to recoup. They've lost quite a bit. They're trying to rebuild Lagos State. So every fund right now is needed. So we can understand why he's coming up with this bill. He's going to send it to the House of Assembly for a ratification.
Yeah, so I've got the export waiver for Dangote, BUA, and one other, as it was in the report. One other company have been given a waiver to carry out their exports, even though we have the land border ban that had been placed by government in 2019. And the spokesperson for customs has said that the reason why these 3 companies were given the waiver is because they export certain commodities to other West African countries, and so they have given them the waiver. BUA came out also and said, well, they were giving a waiver for just a particular export, not a blanket approval to continue doing.
Now, this stemmed from the tweet from the elder statesman Atedo Peter side, who was saying that the government was in favor of a selected few. So it was Dangote, BUA, and a gas plant, I think. So these guys have that special waiver that they should give everybody, every truthful, legitimate business should give the kind of waiver. So, and people now went for him. And that's
so
why
of course, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce as well came out to say that, many companies have gone through a lot this year, with the pandemic and everything. So it is unfair to give just a few companies, that waiver. You should look to make sure that all legitimate companies
we're trying to build back the economy, right? Let's move on to Vanguard. Hashtag #EndSARS clamp down. Reverend Sam Adeyemi, Davido, Two-Face, can others dragged to court. Zulum Lords UAE for convicting Boko Haram sponsors. CAC deregisters NGO Enough is Enough. Buhari approves registration of new APC members. #EndSARS, they hit my scrotum severally, detained me for 81 days, says victim. Jakonde Tinubu Fashola orders to lose pay as Sanwo-Olu moves to repeal law. And 428 agencies won't be able to pay salary by end of November, says federal government. Okay, which stories are we taking?
I'll take the major headline, the clampdown EndSARS. So the particular member, Harrison Gwamneshu, member of the Delta State Judicial Panel of Inquiry, is talking about how members, people who are seen to have been sort of like the face, or were seen a lot during that EndSARS protest, are being picked up in different places. And he's saying that, it is unfair, especially when others, Nigerians, have been expressing their outrage concerning this. The police in Delta State has denied this report, saying that they are not picking up anybody, at least in Delta State. But a few people are saying we need to be careful. Some people, there was a particular lady, her name is Onomene Adene. She had, I think she spoke over with news people and explained how her brother, who has liver problems, was picked up. She was deceived into taking them home, and he was picked up. And so it seems that they are tracing people's phones to pick up people they think were the frontliners for EndSARS.
How did Reverend Samali get into this list?
Okay, so there's a particular person, his name, has decided to sue about 50 people, including Davido, Samede, Pastor Samede, Tiwa Savage. Many of these people filed, and his own was that during this protest, his properties were destroyed. And so he feels that they owe him some form of compensation.
So according to him, his argument is that the protest provoked the unscrupulous elements to actually destroy.
Insightful.
So I don't even know how that one concerns the peaceful protesters, because you can't use peaceful protesters. Shouldn't he be suing these unscrupulous elements that will be found by the government or the police?
But they are conspiracy theories saying that it's possible. It's the powers that be that are using him as a front. Conspiracy theories. I wanted to, go ahead.
Yes.
So the Corporate Affairs Commission cancelled registration of a popular non-governmental organization, Enough is Enough, for allegedly deviating from his original purpose. So he said that registration was done as a sports business where you promote promotion and you know, buying of sports items, but now it's turned into a non-governmental organization.
So I spoke to the proponents of Enough is Enough this morning, and they said that that's not their organization; it's a different organization. So obviously they probably registered a different name, but that's not the popular EIE that we know. Okay. So let that not mislead people or viewers.
That was good that you said that.
Moving on now to Daily Sun. Lagos bars Tinubu, Fashola, and Bode, others from pension. First kidney transplant center in Southeast launched in Nnewi. Let's find the story we've not taken. 2 policemen feared death as conflicting accounts trail attack on Edo police station. We are broke. We can't pay, says 428 MDAs. APC begins registration of new members. Okay.
The kidney, So Dr. Oke Chidolo, who is the former director of Nigerian Ports Authority, has flagged off this multi-millionaire health facility project called the Premium Dialysis Hospital. It's going to be completed in 12 months. And this is as a result of a lot of illness of kidney failure, where we have people who have to, you know, you need to travel to be able to get it done, but now they're setting it up in Nnewi, and it's very laudable. He's saying that also it will create jobs for people in that community, as well as help our healthcare.
428 MDAs.
Yeah, so 428 agencies won't be able to pay November salaries, and they say that is because of as a result of the minimum wage that has been implemented. And so by the end of this November, they will not be able to pay salaries, and they're asking, you know, for the wide, it's called the wide votes, the service-wide votes to make up for this shortfall. But also we have the Senator Urogi Day has accused the executive of deliberately also underfunding some agencies, and he says the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation has been underfunded, you know, deliberately by this administration. And while some sub-agencies like ICPC and EFCC have been given better budgetary allocation, even though they are doing maybe like 1/6 of what the Office of the Auditor General is doing. And so he's talking about, you know, it seems like there's a bias in how budget is being allocated amongst ministries.
I wanted to take the final paper, The Guardian. Kano cracks down on beer despite 40 billion naira remittance. You have that story?
Yes, I have the story. I want to quickly get it. So the government of Kano, they said they destroyed 1,975,000 bottles, which are of beer, the beverages, which are worth over 200 million naira. And they are saying that people were saying because of the Sharia law, they are not supposed to drink alcohol in Kano State. But they are saying that it's not just the Sharia, because Sharia would only cover the Muslims, but this also is enshrined in the penal code, and so it cuts across. And but critics are saying that this alcohol industry has brought in so much. What you destroy right now is like 7.5% of the VAT that you got into the country through this business. So people are just talking. Yeah, everybody's talking.
Okay, there was a human interest I wanted to talk about. We have to run on very quickly. In Tribune, SARS damaged my scrotum during 81-day detention. This story is really painful because lots of stories are coming up from the judicial panel, the inquiry that is ongoing right now. Quite a bit of stories, heart-wrenching stories are coming up. This gentleman was arrested by SARS, and they wanted him to implicate his boss that the hotel he works in is a den for kidnappers. And he said that doesn't happen in our hotel. But they wanted him, they were forcing him, they're torturing him, forcing him to say his boss actually is a kidnapper. So they hung him by his hair. And they damaged his scrotum, they beat him, they used an iron on his back, he has scars all over his body, and he was was arrested for 81 days. And for the past 5 years has passed now. And police hasn't said anything. He wasn't charged. No formal charge was made against him.
Even the hotel wasn't charged.
And 5 years just down the drain. So these are some of the stories you hear, and you understand why there was a need for a hashtag EndSARS, because people went through hell. Nigerian citizens went through hell. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. We'll have a guest who complained about his situation with EFCC, and then we're going to have an EFCC representative talk to us about it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on the show today is a young man, Adediran Rotimi. He's going to share with us his experience on what transpired between him and the Economic and Financial Crime Commission. Rotimi, are you there? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm there.
Good to have you on the
Good
show.
morning.
So we read your story, and it was interesting because you're just an average
But the
Nigerian.
network is breaking. I can't really hear you very well.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Maybe you need
I'm
to
still
really...
managing to hear you.
Okay. So, okay, in a nutshell, we'd like you to share your story of what happened at EFCC. We can hear you clearly. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What happened is this. On the 14th of October, that was last month, I was actually in my room sleeping. And around, that's the time I could remember, at around 4 a.m. in the morning, I had some set of people jumping into the compound and trying to break doors to the apartment. You know, it was like I live in a room about self-contained, and there is self-contained there. So they are trying to break in, force their way into those rooms. I was like, what is going on? I thought they were armed robber in the first place. So I don't know what to do. I was just calm. I was restless, actually, in my room. I don't know what to do. Armed robber, I've not been to that place before. I've never heard of people robbing that area before. So what is happening? So all of a sudden, I started hearing, gun up, kill up, shoot up. And I was more confused. What is really going on? But they raided my room last. They broke into it. They said, okay, where's your laptop? Where's your phone? But I got a bit confused when I saw their jacket. Sir, these people are EFCC. So I shouldn't have problem to be scared or panic or whatsoever. These people should be. They should be people that I should trust. So I was about to talk to them when one of them pointed a gun at me. I said, bring out your phone, bring out your laptop. I said, calm down. I want to talk to you because I'm seeing a jacket, EFCC jacket on you. It shouldn't be a problem. I willingly gave out my laptop and my phones. I was even thinking they are going to check. Probably they see anything on there, on me, on it. They will arrest me, and then they say I should go with them. Or if they didn't see anything, they will let me be, and they will leave.
Right.
Or they did not check anything. They did not search my phone. They did not search my laptop. They said I should stand up and follow them. I was surprised. Oh, well, I thought maybe
so
they are
because
working
of time, Rotimi, Rotimi, I'd like you to...
misleading.
Rotimi.
No problem. I will follow you to your office. But while we are going, I was even joking with one of them. I said, if I go to your office and you guys discover there is nothing on me, you are going to give me transport fare back to Abeokuta because I don't have any money on me. He said I should not worry, that when I get there, if they didn't find anything, they'll give me transport fare back that same day. Then I was like, okay, there's no problem if that is the case.
All right, Rotimi.
So we were going. I got there that morning. We are like 9 or 10. So I got there that morning, and to my surprise, they did not even search us. They did not search the phone. They did not search the laptop. They just said all of us should lie down, and they took a picture of us. And I know instantly that they are going to upload that picture online. That's where the problem began. I began to wonder. That I was thinking EFCC will have to do a proper investigation and about searching our phone, searching our laptop, make sure that we are actually into cybercrime before posting that picture online. But when I saw that, I was like, wow, my image will be damaged. No, they will actually destroy my image if that picture goes online.
Right.
But to my surprise, I started getting calls from people. I guess probably they posted it online, and I knew that's exactly what they did.
Right.
So I was even thinking, okay, when I get to the office, if they search my thing, I did not see anything on it. They'll still release it.
Rotimi, I need to cut you off at this point. What did the EFCC official tell you after your laptop was taken on the phone? Did they tell you they found incriminating evidence in your property? And what happened afterwards? They
searched my phone for like 4 hours.
Okay.
So they did not find anything on it.
Okay. Did they let you go?
They did not. They gave me bail condition that day. And the bail condition, I could not meet up with that bail condition. Okay. And I was surprised. Why are they giving bail condition even when I did not do anything? Even when nothing incriminating was found on my phone. So I was supposed to provide one lawyer, 2 sureties with a house property in Ibadan, and must be a taxpayer for at least 2 years. Where will I get that from?
Okay, let me get a few more questions in for you before we bring in our EFCC
as
guest.
of today, do you know what you were charged with? As of today,
I was charged for suspect criminal. I think the target for I'm a suspect, a cybercrime. For cybercrime.
Have you been to court? Have they taken you to court? What legally? What measures? Measures have they taken for you to be able to defend yourself and for them to take this up, legally, instead of just giving you a charge?
They actually made up the bail conditions 2 days later, and I was released on bail. And I don't think they are planning on taking me to court either.
But have they?
Okay. All right.
Have they said anything to you afterwards? Have they written to you anything?
They did not say anything to me afterwards. They just said I should keep coming back to come and sign. So I was going there every Monday to go back to go and sign. So I went there on Monday to sign, and I actually asked for my property, and they did not even mention anything about it. So I thought maybe I will be going for a very long time. And each and every time I go into that office, the experience I had with them is always traumatizing, and I don't like
I'm going to have to let you go soon because I would like to bring in the FCC officer. But were you brutalized in any way? Did they harm you in those 2 days you were in their custody?
No, they did not harm me. They did not do anything.
Okay,
they
very
didn't
good.
me.
Thank you very much, Rotimi, for sharing your story. We're going to try to bring in our guest, and the reason why we're having this conversation is to understand the modus operandi of the EFCC. Yes. How do they even, when they get suspects, what are the next steps? Do they call the police to follow them? Did they make arrests themselves? How are these things done? Because we are trying to rid our country of brutality, but not just the police, but law enforcement officers. The fact that Nigerians are not seen, they seem not to be seen as citizens, but just people they can actually rule over. So it's important for us to bring this story so Nigerians understand, so our leaders understand what average Nigerians go through. You own a laptop, you have a phone, and suddenly you're a suspect. And even if you're suspected, they don't find incriminating evidence against you. You don't even get an apology, anything, say, or a compensation for that. And that's why it's important for us to speak to somebody who can shed some light on how this happened. Let's go on a break while we're trying to get our guest in. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We have a spokesperson of the EFCC, Mr. Wilson Uwujaren. Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. So before you came on, we had a guest, Rotimi, who was talking about the fact that EFCC came to his house at night, very early in the early hours of the morning, arrested him, took his laptop, phone, and kept him in custody until he was able to provide a surety, and then released 2 days afterwards. And because Nigerians, this is like a season where we're discussing about hashtag EndSARS and the indiscriminate behavior of law enforcement agencies on citizens. We would like you to explain to us how the entire operation of the EFCC runs, especially if there's a suspect, and what are the various steps that are taken before the person is eventually arraigned.
Well, thank you for that question. I think this is an opportunity for me to also enlighten the public on the methods of the EFCC. Contrary to the narrative by the young man, there was no application of force in his arrest. Okay. Our operatives went to Abeokuta based on intelligence to arrest suspected internet fraudsters. And 9 suspects were arrested. He happened to be one of the 9. What happened when he was arrested, the operative went to his house, knocked on the door, and it was his wife who opened the door for our operatives. He did not resist arrest, so there was no reason whatsoever for force to be applied in apprehending him. Meanwhile, it is important to state that internet fraud, or generally cyber crimes, are white-collar crimes. They are not violent crimes, so there's no reason for any law enforcement agency to apply force if you want to arrest internet fraud suspects. You can only apply minimum force if they resist arrest. In this instance, there was no resistance, so there was absolutely no need for anybody to apply force to arrest him. That is one. The second issue is this. He was arrested alongside 8 other suspects and taken to our office in Ibadan. Usually, when we arrest suspects like that, it is possible during arrest that you may pick the wrong person. What we usually do after arrest is to profile the suspects. Once we have profiled them and established those that are actually involved in the crime, we then issue out information that we have made arrest. Those that are not involved in such crime, after profiling, they are allowed to go. In the case of this young man, he was with us for 2 days. During those 2 days, the devices found on him were analyzed. We have forensic capability in the EFCC. We subjected those devices to forensic analysis. And after 2 days, mindful of his rights under the Constitution, he was offered administrative bail and allowed to go home while the investigation continues. That is the reason he was asked to be reporting every Monday, because the case was not closed. He was not given a clean bill of health. He was simply asked to go on bail because we cannot continue to keep him in custody while we are doing the investigation. Because he has the right under the Constitution to bail, which he was offered.
Right.
The case is still under investigation, which is why this narrative that is putting out is premature.
Right.
Analysis of telephone and other electronic devices found on suspect is just one aspect of the investigation. There are other aspects of cybercrime investigation that the Commission undertakes. This is not the forum for me to disclose such information because internet fraudsters.
Let me get a few more questions in for you, sir.
Can use that kind of information.
Right.
So we are doing other parts of the investigation that the young man is not aware of. He was not told that nothing has been found on him, that he has been exonerated of the crime. So the investigation is still on.
Okay.
It's premature now for him.
All right. Let me get a few more questions in for you, sir.
No case was established against him, so he wrongfully arrested him.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, I'm not a lawyer, so maybe you should help enlighten me. Was he given an opportunity to get his lawyer? And if he had a lawyer, would he still be expected to visit you every day if you do not have any incriminating evidence to hold him? And would his laptop and phones be given back to him if he had a lawyer to represent him at your office?
Well, any suspect of crime, whether...
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Any suspect of crime, whether cyber crime or grand corruption case, you are entitled to have your lawyer, even present while you are being interrogated. If you know that you need to get your lawyer, you can have your lawyer present and he will witness everything. We even encourage suspects to ask their lawyer to come so that tomorrow you will not come out to say that somebody extracted information from you under duress. We have video devices in our offices. Every of our interrogation room is fitted with video recording devices so that when your cases go to court, you cannot come and see somebody force or induce you to make statements that ordinarily, willingly, you will not make. So those things are there. You have the right to a lawyer as a suspect.
All right.
If you want to.
So this particular person had his lawyer present?
I can't say now because I don't have that information. I'm based in Abuja. I wasn't there when he was interrogated. But I'm sure the operatives will tell him that you need to get your lawyer if you have the resources to get a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm aware that he has put out some information that he paid the lawyer to get him on bail or so. If he can afford 200,000 to pay a lawyer, he can also get that to get to present.
All right, let's get a woman here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, sir, I am curious as to why he was being arrested before being profiled. So, my thinking now is the profiling should come first, then you have an evidence, and you pick up for arrest. If you do not have, if the profiling hasn't been done, you can invite the person to the office for questioning, and the person is not supposed to bail himself out. So I'm confused as to your procedure, and I would like you to enlighten us how it works exactly.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes.
I thank you for that question. You know that for the birth, it will be foolhardy for you to invite a cybercrime suspect to come to your office. He will never come to your office. You need to make arrests. It's only when you are dealing with high-profile individual, politically exposed person, that you can extend invitation to them and they will honor it. Who is that Yahoo boy that you will send invitation to and he will come to your office? He will never show up. So, and these things are based on intelligence. You do surveillance 5 days before you even carry out a raid. You take them by surprise. That's the only way you can make arrests. You cannot make any headway in investigation. You don't invite the cybercrime suspect to your office. You arrest.
Right. Okay, I would like to debate this further with you, but I'll let you go because it would be great for him to take advantage of the judicial independent panel going on right now to bring this case to them. So, Rotimi, if you are hearing us, would advise you to take this matter to the judicial inquiry. Hopefully, they can invite the EFCC and then do a thorough investigation because there are a lot of things you can ask questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson, for joining us this morning. There are so many angles because the truth is that we want, where we're taking Nigeria to is I want everybody to be treated the same way you treat a high-profile person. We want you to treat everybody. We're all citizens.
Yes, we are.
Yes, he's a suspect. He should be dignified as a person, as a human being, to be invited first. Yes, we understand it's difficult for Yahoo boy to honor it, but I think that should be extended. That one. Number two, the point of having a lawyer is extremely important.
Yes,
I don't think Rotimi mentioned that he was asked or was reminded of his law. You know, in America, when they arrest you, they remind you of your Miranda rights.
You can say you don't want to say anything to your lawyer's presence.
I think what we as Nigerians and your view, our responsibility is to begin to also educate our viewers. When you're arrested, you are entitled to a lawyer.
Yeah.
You don't have to say a word. If you just keep saying, I would like to call my lawyer, that's your right. You call your lawyer and he comes. Even if you don't have a lawyer, call your uncle that I need a lawyer. Quickly come and meet me.
A lawyer.
Because anything you say, that there could be used. But I don't know, this is Nigeria.
But you know that before we get to that point where you look at a policeman with a gun and say, I want my lawyer present, you need to hold your side. You can collect some slaps for that. But I think that's where we are working towards. Everybody should be treated well as citizens of
our human rights.
And you're innocent until proven guilty. So even if you're a Yahoo boy, just like you rightly said, profile the person, have all the hard evidence. So even if you're going to bring the person, when the person invites a lawyer, there's enough evidence already to show that this person is culpable. Listen, we'll continue to do this kind of stories just to help educate Nigerians more about these modus operandi of our various law enforcement agencies and see what your own rights are, what you're supposed to do, and know how to protect yourself as a citizen. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, so I'm told that she's still not connected yet, but you can call us on 090-241-63440. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so recently, obviously, we've been getting lots of news from the presidency. I guess everybody's trying to redeem their image, but that's my own personal opinion. But this scheme is supposed to be helping the medium, small-scale businesses, and it will be interesting to see how far, because it's not like just lip service. You know, sometimes something that's written in paper, we don't know how it's going to be implemented, and how people will be affected by it.
So it's targeting about 1.7 million Nigerian businesses, and 75 billion is what they hope they can help with these different businesses. And just as you said, we have heard about schemes and funds like this, where the person in charge would say to you, we have done this, we have sent this amount, we have met these people, these are the people who have applied for this, this was what was given to us, and all that money is finished, or the fund is exhausted because we have reached everyone. Then you ask the people who are meant to have received, and they say, silence,
say anything.
I don't know what you're talking about. So I really, once our guest comes on, is what are they doing differently from all the other stories we hear every time, the other funds and schemes? Who is the middleman? Is there a middleman? Is there a direct connection between this fund and those in charge of the fund and the people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this fund?
Yeah, so I hear that registration will be starting for it soon, and they're trying to
September.
Yes, but they want to phase it, so they are handling the educational sector first before the other sectors. And I'm happy this is a very laudable initiative. I'm just not so optimistic about it. But if they say, I want to take the government's word for it, that they've earmarked 75 billion and they are going to be giving it to businesses to ensure that people don't lose their jobs, salaries are paid. I want to know the procedures. I want to know how they get the beneficiaries of this. And I want to see that the people who get it actually come out to say, we got it, thank you. You know, that
and, and because of COVID-19, the fact that the hoodlums that attack many businesses has caused many people to lose so much. So these would definitely go a long way. And I think for 75 billion you're talking about, it was about 4 or 3 states, Lagos was inclusive, of states that this really happened, and they wanted to help business owners to get back on their feet. So I'm told that we have our guest now, Tola Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Are you there? Hello, Tola. Are you there?
Hello.
Good morning, Tola. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning.
So we had introduced you earlier because we wanted you to talk to us about the survival fund scheme by the federal government to help resuscitate and to provide for the micro, small, medium enterprises. Could you tell us about this scheme, please?
Well, the line is a bit faint, but I believe I got to talk about the survival fund scheme.
Yes.
Okay. So the survival fund scheme, like you have stressed earlier on, is one of the components of the approvals that Mr. President gave in July to cushion the effects of COVID-19 on businesses and individuals in the country. And it has 4 aspects. The payroll support that's supposed to help pay salaries of staff of businesses for about 3 months. It has the MSME, artisan, and transport grants, where they're supposed to collect 30,000 naira. It has the MSME grant, which is just a 50,000 naira one-off grant to micro businesses. It has the CAC formalization support, which is supposed to register 250,000 businesses across the country, business names across the country. Lastly, it has the guaranteed uptake scheme, which is the scheme that injects funds into production line businesses across the country, and government guarantees buying those products of them, products like face masks, hand sanitizers, and processed food, and government then distributes those products to those in need of the produced products. So those are the 4 different schemes under the survival fund.
Now,
okay, of those who are meant to take advantage of these funds and this scheme, what is there a process to find out who is eligible, and what does it entail? Oh yes,
we have a website, www.survivalfund.gov.ng, where we have information, and we have state partnership. All the states, well, apart from a few, I think 1 or 2, they have not given us state focal persons where they liaise with us to understand what the schemes are about. They go back to their states to tell them these are what the schemes are about, these are how you assess the scheme, and these are what you need to do to ensure that you very quickly meet up the requirements. So that's as far as partnership is concerned.
Right. All right. Sometimes when we have all of these projects, what happens at the end of the day is that the powers that be find a way of, giving the slots to their relatives and their people, their friends, and it doesn't get to the people who really need it. So I'm going to be asking you, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that people who need it get it? And is there any way that their names can be published for those that are going to benefit from this?
Okay, so we understand that this has been a norm in the past, and it's one of the things that we're trying to ensure that it's not repeated. Basically, in short, one of the mandates we were given that the steering committee led by the Honorable Minister of State, Ambassador Mariam Katazim, was that we should ensure that this goes to those that they are meant for. So what we have done is that we've tried to ensure that every scheme there's a business, and at no point do we have an anchor that will pay money to that pays money to another person. So if we ensure that if we are paying you 30,000 naira and it goes to you, anybody that any so-called big man or relative that want to gather, how many 30,000 naira do you want to gather before it makes that want to gather a lot of 30,000 naira in different places and now start giving people less than how much we have approved. So we've ensured that we are not doing that. There's no anchor. The only anchor is that you anchor by bringing them to us. You are going to aggregate. You bring the people to us. Once we get the people that we need, we collect their account details and pay directly to them, basically. So at no point are we paying someone to pay another person or pushing funds into somebody's account or a group of people's accounts to now go and pay other people. No, we are paying directly to the people. All the schemes, all. No one is no exemption. Especially even the payroll support.
Right. So when you say micro, small, some Nigerians have no idea what you mean. Could you give us examples of what micro, small enterprises mean and who falls into this bracket?
Okay. So micro, small enterprise, micro, small, and medium enterprises. That's the entire value chain. Now, if you look at let's go by our own definition of micro, small, and medium enterprises. And we have to, I must make reference to the last survey done by Smedan and NBC. It is claimed that we have 41.5 million MSMEs in the country, which 41.5 million existing businesses in the country. And out of these 41.5 million, about between 95 to 98% of them are micro. So they said about 41 million are micro. So it means that virtually almost 8 in every 10 businesses you see in Nigeria, or 9 in every 10 businesses in Nigeria are micro. That's very, very small. Very, 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 very small. So, and this is our target. Basically, the enterprises, and those are the large businesses, the Alicos and the rest of them, those are the large enterprises. So the micro businesses are the ones that employ 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, even to 50 staff, basically, and make less than, say, 10 million in some cases per annum, in some cases slightly above 10 million. These are the ones that are struggling. These are the ones that will struggle when there's a little glitch to whatever they are used to doing daily. So these are the ones that, and they are more. They are more because they are the ones that, if anything affects their daily income, they might not, they are not in a position where they cannot pay their staff. So these are the ones that we are focusing on.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest special advisor to the federal government on MSMEs.
Yes.
Ram had a question. Go ahead, please.
So my question is, earlier you were talking about the sort of businesses that would fall under a micro and medium, and you said something about 10 million, those businesses that make between or less than 10 million per annum. Is that for the micro businesses, enterprises, or are you talking of the medium and small enterprises?
Most businesses that make less than such amounts fall under the micro businesses.
Micro?
Yes, most of such businesses fall under the micro businesses.
Oh, okay.
So these are the people that employ between 1 to 10 staff, basically. 1 to 10 staff. And then in some very, very, very rare cases, employ above that. Now, we have the small businesses. These ones, you could have them employing up to about 50 staff, basically, about 50 staff. But the amount of transactions or the amount of transactions that they do in a year is quite minimal. So if you are looking at their staff strength, it does not equate, the staff strength does not necessarily equate a very large. If somebody has 50 staff, you will be thinking that, oh, they should be doing about 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. Right. They might not necessarily be doing that.
All right, Tola, let me be sure I get you right, because you said earlier that part of the grants we're talking about is about 30,000 naira on businesses. How much are we talking about? Because for somebody who has a 10-man staff, 30,000 naira ain't going to do much. So what exactly is this grant? What's the value of the grant?
Okay. Now, there are 4 different sources of grants. There's a grant that can help you support your payroll for 3 months. It can support as many as 10 of your staff.
Okay.
If you are paying them above 50,000 a month, it can support as many as 10 of your staff. An individual company, 10 staff. Imagine 10 staff, an individual company, that's about $500,000 every month for 3 months. And in some cases, if you pay them less than $500,000, if you pay them less than
It's clearer now. Thank you.
We get it.
It's clearer now.
okay.
So there's also...
And it could be lesser. It could also be lesser.
Okay.
There's also the grants, or is it like a one-off you talked about giving to artisans? Or
Yes.
how do they qualify for it?
Okay, so that has started. What we did was that started last week. They started disbursements last week for about 11 states.
Okay.
And I believe Lagos is one of those states that have been paid as well. Now, how do you qualify for that? It's for you to belong to an association. If you belong to an association, most of our petty people that have handwork, plumber, carpenter, mechanic, and all the likes. If you belong to, most of them belong to different associations. If you belong to an association, then we're able to prove that you give us your association number, and you give us your BVN, and we simply credit you this money once we do our verification.
Okay, I have to run off, Tola, but there's something I think is important for us to ask. Many times when federal government or the presidency comes with these nice schemes and throw money at Nigerians, usually it's not used for what it's supposed to be used for. And then it's almost like a waste. We just wasted money. I mean, there were so many schemes in the past that we've seen. How are you ensuring that these people that are beneficiaries of this scheme actually use it for the right reason? And how do you measure that indeed it was used for the right reasons?
Well, I guess that's one of the reasons, apart from a few other reasons why we say let's use their associations.
Okay.
I think what we say to the associations are, give us a list of your most prominent and active members who you know that when we give these funds to, you can monitor what they will use it for. Those that have been hardworking in the past, but are now facing heavy financial burden because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And they populate that list and bring to us. The truth is that yesterday I was in Abuja, and we went to one of the clusters that they had paid. And a few people were giving testimonials. And one of it was rather emotional because this lady got up and said, "Thank you, federal government, for this. I've collected my 30,000 and I've been able to restock my business." So when she said I've been able to restock my business, in my mind I'm thinking, what do you mean by restock with 30,000 naira? And she said to me, "Sir, I bought this equipment, I bought this tool, I bought this tool. I bought about 3 tools that cost me about 22,000 naira, and I still have 8,000 naira left." Honestly, that got to me. I mean, we are here thinking that 10,000 naira might not be a lot, but here is somebody that is saying that she had bought 3 tools that she will use for handwork, and she still had 8,000 naira left.
Thank you very much, Tola. We have to run something in.
Yes, so concerning those clusters and those who are meant to pass on the information to you, how do you keep them accountable? Because, that could also be an environment, an opportunity. I'm not saying that that's what they're doing, an opportunity for something to go wrong where monies would not reach who they're meant for.
Okay, so what the essence of going to to those, where we very soon across the country, you still start seeing testimonial and activation grounds, where we are going, as myself, maybe the Honorable Minister of State, and a few other, and the DG Smeda, who is the chairman of the subcommittee on media, and other people. We are going around asking, yes, you got the money. It is one thing for them to get the money. But we are more interested in, did you get what you were supposed to get? How much did you get?
All right, unfortunately, we have to wrap up at this point. Thank you very much, Tola Johnson, for joining us this morning. He's a special advisor to the presidency on MSMEs. That's all we can take on the show today. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.